Great to see you, Ciarán. Thanks for joining us today. It has been quite a while since you and I had a chance to catch up and record a video update. Say hello to everyone. We have had quite a busy March. Our feet never quite
Yeah,
touch the ground, and it's good to be back. I'm happy to see you. How are you today?
I'm good. I think it's been 6 weeks, but it has been a hell of a 6 weeks
It really
for
has.
the events that we've been involved in and also just the political developments here.
Yeah.
And most importantly, we actually had 2 full days of sunshine over the weekend.
Back to back sunny days.
Yeah, so
How
so
are you
summer
inside now?
the summer
Yes.
was wonderful and
Did you have a good summer?
it was a
Yeah.
great summer.
Excellent.
So hopefully
Good.
it'll be back next year.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. It means a lot that we get to catch up and get a sense of where everything is at and what we've been up to. So we have a lot to go over. Like you said, we have been it has been a heck of a run these past 6 weeks. Let's start kind of in the beginning of March and work our way through some of the developments that we've worked through, as well as what we have on the horizon and where we're headed. So that brings us back to March 1st. We spent a great deal of time promoting and celebrating and telling everyone to come and see us at the Irish Unity Summit at the Great Hall of Cooper Union. And it worked. It was a fantastic day of panels, speakers. Why don't you talk to us about your experience there at in New York City, March 1st for the Irish Unity Summit?
Well, first of all, I think the event was a huge success and it was extremely informative. It was hopefully entertaining.
Yeah.
And the feedback was universally positive, which is when you normally bring 600 Irish people into a room, there's always somebody has got an issue, and that wasn't the case. So all of that feedback is excellent, and I think it felt like a sense of a new chapter in the
Yeah,
conversation starting about Irish unity. And it was also just really great to meet up with people, make new friends, people who watch these videos or read the letters.
that's
We're
right.
actually able to meet us in person, and people who'd
Yeah,
emailed us who I'd never met before, able to catch up. So
yeah.
I think it was a great networking event. I think it was a great event in terms of energizing the room and informing people about the huge potential for Irish unity. And it was just that spectacular success. And the
Yeah,
panel discussions were off the charts.
some of the things that stand out. You're right. It was so great to meet many of you watching the video now who took a moment to pause and say hello. I know you from the video updates. That was a real treat. So hello to all of you watching now, as well as many folks who traveled from all over the country and from Ireland to be a part of the day. And I think a lot of that speaks to the types of conversations that were held and organized and prepared for the day. So when we have authors and New York Times, writers interviewing professors and constitutional experts on what unity looks like you say, it's a new chapter. We're moving beyond the enthusiasm and cheerleading and excitement about the notion of a united Ireland and moving into a space that is very granular. Is what do these steps look like? What's my role in this work? What are the questions we have to ask? It was really, really powerful.
Yeah, and I would recommend that people can go back and look at the videos
Yeah.
because they're now there on our YouTube channel, and they're a huge resource. And again, it comes back to that point that the conversation wasn't about wouldn't a united Ireland be wonderful.
Yeah.
The conversation was about how do we bring it about and how do we move from it being an aspiration into a reality. So all of that for me, living in Ireland, is hugely exciting that we have the opportunity to create a new Ireland and a united Ireland. So
Yeah, it
to
was a it
redefine
was
the
a
nation state.
a comment I heard a couple of times that it really helped drive home the point that we are the generation that has the clearest shot at bringing it home, at making this a reality. And that's one thing to say, but to feel that in a room with hundreds of people, there were hundreds of people watching it online around the world at the same time. It really made for quite a special moment. So thanks to everybody for coming out to making that day as exciting and meaningful as it was, both on the panels and on the stage, as well as everybody in the room who took the time to be a part of that, because it was really, really special. And as Ciarán mentioned, we've uploaded, it's in 3 parts. It's a high definition, high quality recording of the entire event. So if you want to go back and see something that you kind of want to revisit because you were there or you weren't able to join us and want to spend some time with those panels or the keynote addresses or any of the question and answer period there, it is chock full of information about what the road to a united Ireland looks like. And we're grateful to everyone for coming out and being a part of that.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank the co-sponsors of the
Yeah.
event who also worked to make it such a success. And it does show you that the issue of unity is for everyone. and it's
Yeah.
beyond just myself, yourself, friends of Sinn Féin. It is a bigger project, and it is a project everybody's voice should be heard in.
Exactly right. Yeah. So thanks for that. Thanks for that review, Ciarán, and thanks to everyone for being a part of that day. It was just a couple of hours between when that ended and we found ourselves in Washington, D.C. for what has turned into a whole week of St. Patrick's Day celebrations, where we really continued that conversation that we started as a group of supporters and curious learners at Cooper Union in Washington, D.C. on the Hill and with community leaders there.
Yeah, and I think it demonstrated to me the potential and the connectivity between the Irish American communities and others who came to the Unity Conference,
Yeah.
and the political representatives on the Hill and on the administration. So yeah, we never take it for granted, the access that we have around that time.
Yeah.
Hopefully we used it well in terms of advancing the cause of Irish unity, both on the Hill with the administration and with the community groups that we met with. And also we used the opportunity to raise our very real concerns about what was happening in Gaza, and hopefully to use our own experiences as peace builders to telegraph the way forward of what needed to be done in that. And also during that week, the groups that sponsored the Unity Conference also sponsored adverts which ran in the New York Times, the New York Times, Washington Post, amongst others, the San Fran Chronicle, the Sacramento Bee, if I can remember rightly, and a number of online resources. So that unity conversation just naturally flowed into the trip in Washington, but as well as some of the bigger global issues. And Mary Lou in particular addressed the Georgetown Irish Studies group, and that was a really interesting lecture and question and answer session. The other news story from that, of course, was the visit of Michelle O'Neill as first minister.
That's right.
The first time there.
Yeah.
So Greg, you're on the trip as well. I don't know what your views are, your feedback from the trip, or your thoughts about it.
I think you've drawn that line well. The conversation about unity seemed to flow so naturally from the gathering of the 7 largest Irish American organizations in New York into political leadership on the Hill and in the administration. I think that it was not lost on anybody in any room and in any meeting the historic nature of Michelle O'Neill visiting as first minister, the first nationalist first minister, was a historic moment, and it never wore off. When we were meeting with community groups, we were meeting with people on the Hill, we were meeting with people in administration. It was really special and a great new chapter in this work. The exciting part, I would say, many exciting parts of the trip, but the tone and meat of many of these conversations were so naturally continuing from the New York conversation. What do we have to do? What are the next steps? Who has to be brought on board? And what are the right questions we have to be asking to further the goal of unity? And that is a big step. I know for people who've been watching these video updates for a while, for the longest time, the headline and the question and the issue is, how do we get the institutions back up and running? How do we get the assembly sitting? How do we get things to work and move again? It feels like a stalemate. It feels frustrating. It feels hopeless. And to be able to not only have that problem solved, but to be able to hit the ground running and move directly into the next chapter of, great, we're back up. What's next? How do we get to work? Was really a fulfilling and motivating experience. That everywhere we went, it was that same question and same angle. So that was rewarding to know that the work that we're doing, the work that you all viewers are making possible when you support us and watch and share these things, is being heard in the halls of these spaces where decisions are being made and where they're listening closely to what's going on. So that was really rewarding. I also was very proud of the ways in which Mary Lou and Michelle and everyone on the team were able to hold up the experience of the Irish peace process as the potential for, at the very least, taking what seems like an intractable, violent situation and providing hope to say there is another way. We can provide a model, and we do want to do whatever is possible to help to end what's happening in Gaza, the genocide, the slaughter happening in Gaza right now is not acceptable. And what do we need to do to move forward to end that? That was there was never an opportunity missed to raise that everywhere we went, and that was it's very hard work and vital work, and it was good to see it done at every corner.
Yeah, I think that's the key, one of the key pieces from the trip. And sometimes when there's a conflict going on, people do deem it intractable, or there's nothing we can do, or this is just the way things are, and it is not.
Yep.
These are all policy choices, and we know from our own experience that there's a way out of conflict, and that means a certain democratic rights, certain rights of individuals, respecting international law, and above all, calling for a ceasefire. And of course, with that, the release of all hostages, all hostages. So that was a key bit. And you just reminded me of something. I don't think it'll ever get old, us introducing a Sinn Féin member as the first minister in the north of Ireland.
Yeah.
I mean, that is not just historic, as in we've done it once, so second time. It fundamentally challenges the whole basis of the state and points up that sense of hope and what change can actually mean and what further progress looks like, and that's Irish unity.
What's
so yeah,
possible.
I think you're right. It never gets old. Never gets old.
It was quite a special experience, and there was we were also able. We're grateful for the invitation to spend a little bit of time with the James Connolly Irish American Labor Coalition up in New York for the St. Patrick's Day parade, and we met with and saw a great number of labor leaders and supporters, and were able to participate briefly in what is just such an incredible display of celebration and cultural connection for the New York St. Patrick's Day parade. If you haven't been, if you're watching from other places around the country, around the world, it should be something that you see. It is amazing. Really something else.
If you are aliens watching this in Mars, this is the time to visit Ireland or visit New York.
That's right.
And see Ireland in all its glory. Yeah, so that was good. And then we got home for a couple of weeks. I got home for a week.
Couple of days.
We were back on the road for the Easter commemoration. So we had Easter commemorations in San Francisco with Linda Dillon, MLA. We had Emma Ciarán, MLA, in Chicago, New York, and Long Island. We had the following week then Rose Conway Walsh, TD, in Philadelphia. And myself, I traveled to Toronto for their Easter commemoration and some events in Vancouver. So yeah, it's been, and again, all of this comes together from the Unity Conference. And I suppose where we end up in Easter commemorations, and the issue in Easter commemorations is we have the opportunity to realize the vision of the men and women of 1916 and all of the revolutionary generations that have passed through North America, who carried with them the hopes of a sovereign, independent, and free Ireland. We now have the mechanisms which was denied to them of a democratic and peaceful pathway.
What I'm hearing and what I heard in all the reports, because I was kind of running like air traffic control as you and everybody were traveling around from everywhere. We hear from San Francisco and Chicago, everywhere, Boston, New York, Providence. Not only is the enthusiasm at really an exciting level, but engagement. We're looking at hundreds of people coming together to commemorate and be a part of Easter celebrations and talk about what's next. How do we get involved and how do we maintain this momentum and be a part of this conversation?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer history should not be kept in glass boxes in museums.
Yeah.
You know, we're part of a continuity. We're part of a linkage of struggles, and hopefully we'll be the generation which will see it through to its completion. If not, we will take it to Irish unity, whether we then move it on to a full-fledged Republic of Citizens needs to be seen, but that's the nature of our struggle, and that continuity continues till we get to that end point. So yeah, we started off the conversation at the beginning of March talking about the potential of unity. We ended up at the end of March looking back and saying, here's how far we have come, but also here's the opportunities for the future. So it's been a very successful March. And then there's politics happen.
I know. Well, before we move into politics, and there are many, that the whole run of Easter dates and visitors wouldn't have been possible without the support of volunteers and people all over the country standing up and saying, yeah, we want to organize and make this possible. And that's organization, that's individuals, Mike and Kathy and Vincent and Ciarán, Eamon, everyone across saying, yeah, we want someone out here for Easter. We want to create an event and bring out hundreds of folks to the community. That makes a huge difference. So thanks to everyone who was a part of organizing and making that possible.
Yeah, and I think it should also be recognized. It wouldn't be possible without the Friends of Sinn Féin, who actually fund and look after all of the logistics for travel and accommodation, what's required. So it's all of our, so it's always good for I think the people who donate to Friends of Sinn Féin to know where their money goes.
To
And it
know what's
goes
happening.
on
Exactly.
at facilitating those types of visits
Yep.
from the Unity Conference through to Washington.
DC to Easter. Yep.
So, and all of that is all about promoting our struggle. So many thanks to you and for all of the Friends of Sinn Féin supporters who make our work possible.
Exactly right. It makes a huge difference. So thank you for that. Now we can dive into politics. So it's been also, while we've been very busy, I think there's some news of new leadership or some politics going on. What is it? Meet the new boss, same as the old boss situation. What do we got?
Yeah, it's like the revolving door. So as you're aware, after the 2020 election, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael went into government for the first time in their history. And it was with one aim, and that was to keep Sinn Féin out. So for the previous 100 years, those two parties, Fianna Fáil or Fine Gael, had either been in government or in opposition. So they controlled government and opposition for 100 years. So that changed, and they had this deal where they would have revolving Taoiseachs without an election. So for the first half of the term, it was Micheál Martin from Fianna Fáil, and for the second half, it was Leo Varadkar. And then, to everybody's surprise, when we got back from Washington for St. Patrick's Day, Leo resigned. And I think that was as much of a shock to his party.
Everybody,
And they elected a new leader, which was uncontested. And Simon Harris is now the leader of Fine Gael. And he was then their nominee for Taoiseach. So we've had a new Taoiseach. We've had 3 Taoiseachs in 4 years.
And how many elections? 3 Taoiseachs, 4 years. How many elections?
1 election. And when they were going into that election, Fianna Fáil were adamant that they would never contemplate getting into government with Fine Gael.
So all their voters voted for them with the thought in their mind, oh, I'm not a huge fan of this, but at least I know they're promising they'll never go into government with Fine Gael. And then, lo and behold,
2 Fine Gael Taoiseachs later.
Yeah, exactly right.
So so the new Taoiseach's in place. He's been in place for 2 weeks. It's been a bit of a bumpy ride for him so far. He got in. There was a number of independents also voted for him, which is interesting because the independents always say, "Vote for us. We'll keep the government right. We're not going into government," and yet they always fall in behind him and support him.
Yeah.
You know, as my mother used to say, if you can be bought today, you can be sold tomorrow. So that's where the independents will fit in.
That was a word from your mom, that's for sure.
Yeah. So with the new Taoiseach, we're facing into elections. We have European Parliament elections and local government elections in the south on the 6th of June. So that'll be interesting to see how they pan out. We're confident that we're going to increase our share of the vote from the last time and increase our number of seats. And we will also most likely be fighting a British general election in the autumn. And it could be a new British government in the autumn. And then we could also be facing a general election in the south and a new Irish government. If not in the autumn, it has to be held before, I think, the beginning of March 2025.
That's right, yeah.
So Simon Harris is a very short time to prove himself as Taoiseach.
Yes, 250,000 homes to build in the next 5 months. Is that to fulfill?
And a lot more to be dealing with as well. So it's interesting. The election pieces, they've tried to rebrand them as a Taoiseach for all, which was Michelle O'Neill is the first minister for the last 2 years. Been talking about being a first minister for all. So I suppose we should take this as a form of flattery. But we're also trying to pose it as this is a guy who's a new broom who's going to create all of this change. Fine Gael have been in government for the past 13 years, and he has been in cabinet for a number of those, including being the health minister. And there was a vote of no confidence, and that actually collapsed the last government in him as a health minister.
Yeah.
And now he's back as Taoiseach. So
haven't had access to the levers of power for the past 13 years. That's been well within their possibility.
Yeah. So the Fine Gael Fianna Fáil project of change looks remarkably like the Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael that we have dealt with for the past number of years.
A lot to change.
He also quite interestingly said that people of his generation have closer links with Paris and Berlin than they do in Belfast and Derry, which I think, one, is nonsense because it's not held up by the numbers. But it tells you everything you want to know about his worldview.
Yeah. And maybe political acumen. That's a heck of a
Yeah.
sentence to speak out loud about your own country. It's
Yeah.
unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The number. So yeah,
So
we have new Taoiseach, we have elections, we
yeah,
have the ongoing healthcare crisis with an ongoing crisis in housing, and so all of those, as I say, I mean, I'm a member of Sinn Féin, but all of those issues are not going to. They were created by Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. They will not be solved by Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. They've
yeah.
just continued with promising more of the same.
So you talked about it briefly. It's helpful, I think, sometimes over here to see what's on the horizon. And so that here, what you've described is a frustrating lack of democratic access from the people's voice to leadership. And that stands to change. We see on the horizon here a series of elections that some of those dates are fixed and some of those dates aren't fixed. What is it right now that the project is gearing up for those elections. That's happening on June 6th, you say? What elections are being held on June 6th?
So the elections on June 6th will be local council elections.
Okay.
So they're local government elections and also elections to the European Parliament.
Okay.
So Ireland return a number of MEPs to the Parliament. So it'd be interesting to see how that, because that election is European wide.
Yeah.
So to see what changes it'll come across into the Parliament across all of the European nations. Of course, since Brexit, people in the north have no representation there. They're used to 3 seats.
Yeah.
So we'll have those, and there will also be a mayoral election in Limerick.
Yeah. Is it the first time it's being elected like this?
Yeah, it's the first directly elected mayor in the history of the state here. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know why it's Limerick and not Dublin.
No,
but
try it out.
Yeah. I don't yet try it. They'll test it on Limerick. So, and again, there's an opportunity for us. And the opportunity is this. It's not just about showing the level of commitment and support for Sinn Féin. Electing Sinn Féin local councillors will make a difference locally.
Yeah.
Electing Sinn Féin members to the European Parliament will make change in the European level. Yeah. And by the end of the year, hopefully we will have elected a new Irish government led by Sinn Féin, which will then change nationally.
And so that third election there, it's just important just to put a fine point out. There's not a date for it. We don't know the date that's going to happen. It legally has to happen before March 2025, and it will be determined by the current sitting government when it's probably most advantageous to them.
Yeah, unlike the states, there's no set date for the elections. So it's completely within the remit and ownership of the government to call that election. There is a cutoff date, so it has to be done by, I think it's the beginning of March of 2025.
Yeah.
But they can call it any time, and it's at a time which is going to, of course, advantage them and give us the least amount of knowledge on it. And similar with the Parliament in Westminster, the government there will call that election when they think they're best suited for it.
Is there a similar deadline for that election?
Yeah, I think their one is the end of February. So the likelihood is all of the smart money is on an election in Britain in November. And then it's funny, there was a briefing this week that they might go in the summer, but it remains to be seen. The Tories are trailing that badly in the polls.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what holding on any longer, bringing it forward will actually change.
So I appreciate you walking through that with us, because it can be sometimes challenging to keep track of all the different elections. That's a lot. That's 5-6 elections happening various times, and it's hard to keep track. So thanks for that run through, and that does help paint a picture about where the attention and focus is going to be for the next couple of months as we seek to follow along from here. Thanks for that. Well, I think that was quite a run through. I don't know that there's many more things to address, but though I am looking forward to catching up again in less shorter amount of time between now and the next time. Thank you, Ciarán, for taking the time to brief us and review on what has been an extremely exciting couple of weeks, and with some great work on the horizon there. Thanks for that.
Yeah, and I suppose, as I say, sometimes nothing happens for a decade, and then a decade happens in a week. I think we've packed a year's worth of work in the last 6 weeks. It has all been great. And again, I'd like to thank everybody who made it possible, whether it's through the support of friends of Sinn Féin, whether it's turning up for events, whether it's organising events, or whether it's just being on the side of progress, peace and prosperity in Ireland. So thank you. It's been a busy couple of weeks. a busy 6 weeks, but I think it has been a very rewarding 6 weeks, and we have made substantial progress. As I say, 6 weeks from now, we probably will have our elections over.
Who
So
knows?
who knows where
We'll
be.
touch in before that, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and I also wanted to make a special hello to, we had thousands of new people, literally thousands of new subscribers to our newsletter, as well as to our social media accounts. That makes a big difference as well. So if you get a newsletter and enjoy it, share it, send it on to a friend, encourage them to subscribe, as well as Ciarán mentioned, a big rush of new donors and ongoing support from so many of you make these video updates possible, make those newsletters possible, make visiting delegations possible, make these political updates possible. So if that support goes directly to the work that you get to see here now. So thank you very much to everyone making that possible.
Yep, and I promise the next time we will do a shorter video.
There we go.
Over a shorter time feel, and that means, Greg, we have to do less work.
That's right. I don't know that math adds up, but
No.
we'll try. Thank you.
All right,
Farewell. Bye.